Greetings, YouTube. What the hell is happening to our country? You know, I remember a country where, when I was showing some tourists, Washington, D.C., across the street from the White House, there were all kinds of, anti-Bush, Bush is Hitler kind of signs, and stop the war, you warmonger, like a little ongoing protest. I don't know if there's any protesters there now. I doubt it for some reason, but I remember I was taking this friend of mine, and he had never been to D.C., and as we stood in front of the White House, and these people were back there with their, fuck George Bush signs, I was going on and on about how we live in a country, how great it is to live in a country where you could do that without repercussions, and where you could literally stand in front of the White House and say the president's a piece of shit, fuck the president, and you had nothing to worry about. I mean, like many of us, I grew up in the Cold War era, and we used to feel so much, even when I was in the military and when I was in law enforcement, I can remember raising my kids and talking about how good it was that they should appreciate that they live in a land where you can just get on a plane and fly anywhere in the country. You didn't have to show papers at checkpoints, and how there were so many places in the world, specifically the communist places, Soviet Union and such, where that wasn't the case, where you had people following you and the government monitoring you and everything you did, especially if you were somebody that spoke out against the sitting government. Man, I miss those days. It's so depressing, isn't it, to realize that we've let this happen, that it's come down to this. And I'm speaking, of course, about there's so many scandals. Every day I could do a different video on a new scandal or two. But the most recent one, and probably earth-shattering to some, not surprising to me, not because I'm smart, but if you've been with me long enough, you know that a lot of us have seen this coming. I'm talking about the NSA and their collection, their just dragnet collection of data, emails, anything electronic. So we had the guy come out, and the NSA contractor. Some call him a hero, some call him a criminal. He's probably both. I mean, I'm sure, he broke laws, but when you break an unjust law, are you a criminal? It's like in the military, we always were told that, you have an obligation to not follow orders when they're illegal and unlawful. And let's just be clear on this, people. The collection of emails, and what's his name? Obama came on yesterday and says, we're not reading your emails. It doesn't matter. The fact that they're collecting them in case, down the road you become a suspect or a target, they can go back retroactively and develop trends and see who you were talking to and everything. And this is all under the guise of protecting us. This is so fucking unconstitutional, it's pathetic. And there's so many different ways that I could take this conversation, and I'm just going to bounce around a little bit because it's just almost too much to grasp. But let's think about that for a second. You've got a country. Let's boil down to numbers we can manage. You've got 10,000 people in an auditorium. One of them may or may not be involved in some nefarious criminal activity, maybe even a threat to the rest of the 10,000. How, forgetting the Constitution for a second, how could that be conceivably good practice to arbitrarily collect the data from the other 9,999 people in the auditorium and store it just in case down the road there may be an allegation that maybe one of them or 5 of them were in communication with the other guy? That's kind of convoluted, but I think you get what I'm trying to say here. You don't punish every American citizen for something that he hasn't done or she hasn't done yet. Now, the Constitution was designed to protect us from this exact thing, you know, so that in those days that soldiers and enforcers of the law couldn't just come in and search homes like they did in the Soviet Union and they probably do in China and Russia. That they couldn't just come into a house and search, and then, you know, if they find something. Now, I used to, you know, as you know, I'm retired LAPD, and for us to get a search warrant, we had to present the case to a judge, and we had to explain exactly what it was we were looking for and why we were looking for that item and why we believed, with reason, you know, a reasonable belief, keyword being reasonable, that that item or items connected to the crime might be located. Now, for you non-law enforcement people, there are many rules that we had to adhere to and that law enforcement in this country has to adhere to when exercising a search warrant. Let's just say that I'm looking for a rifle used in a murder, and I believe it's in John Smith's house. So I go to the judge and I present my case to him and I say, hey, we had a guy come in who's John Smith's roommate or former roommate, and he said that John Smith has you know, a double-barrel shotgun with the stock cut off, exactly like the one you're looking for that was used in this murder. So we go to the judge and we say, hey, look, we have it on a semi-credible source here. This guy lived with him. He has no arrest record, has no reason to lie to us. And we believe that that murder weapon is in John Smith's house. Would you sign this warrant? He signs, the judge signs the warrant. We go execute the search warrant. Now, if I open a drawer during the execution of the search warrant, I open up a little drawer and I find a box. And I open the box. And in the box is cocaine or some other illegal substance. Is that admissible in court? And the answer, of course, is no. Because the rules are such that when you're looking for something, you have to remember the operative word was reasonable. Well, is it possible that a shotgun could fit in a drawer or let alone a little box? Of course not. So for me to go opening little boxes where there's no possible way that a shotgun could fit in there, and I'm looking for a shotgun, that makes that evidence inadmissible. Conversely, if I'm going in to look for that shotgun, and as I enter legally, because I've got a signed search warrant, and I see a bag of cocaine laying on the table, that is admissible. That's in plain view, and I'm there lawfully, and it's reasonable to believe that I didn't have to go opening drawers to see it. So my point is, for bringing that up, is that there are, you know, this system has been made with constitutional protections in mind all along. And yet now we have this. And, you know, I have so many different fears. I mean, a lot of people are, I believe a lot of people are going to stop tweeting on Twitter and stop making YouTube videos, and they don't want to fall under the radar of the NSA. And, you know, I even thought about that for a while, but by now it's too late. I mean, Christ, there's no doubt that I'm already fucking in a special file just because I don't like the administration and I don't agree with it. I think they're fucking up our country, and I'm vocal about it. But my point is, I believe that would be a huge mistake if we wound down. Now, I may be considered a dissenter, and if they round us up or I disappear and they write it off as a suicide or an accident, you know, that kind of shit happened in the former Soviet Union, and now that all of these things have happened with the IRS targeting political people with a certain political slant, you know, now nothing is beyond possibility with these guys. So if I suddenly fall off the radar and they try to blame it on us, I'm not suicidal and my truck has good brakes. So avenge me because I was targeted by these fuckers. And the point, you know, listen, I say that halfway tongue-in-cheek, but man, who knows anymore? Who knows? But I do encourage everybody that's been vocal to keep being vocal, and those who haven't to start being vocal, because we cannot sit idle for this. This is really the end throes of the destruction of our Constitution. When you think about it, who the fuck is in charge of this country? I mean, we've got all the shit that happened with Benghazi, the IRS thing going down, fast and furious, which has been all but forgotten because of this onslaught of bullshit. And now this? there's not much room left here as far as to go downhill. We're almost at the bottom. Other than some kind of a false flag operation or some kind of an excuse to declare martial law and then round guys like me up because we spoke up. What the fuck, man? You know, I gotta be honest with you, man. It's like I said on Twitter today. I am so thankful that my grandpa is not alive today. God, it would break his heart. It would break his patriotic heart to see what has happened. And, you know, all of his brothers fighting in World War II. And even myself, man, I'm so depressed because, you know, God, I loved this country, man. And I cannot believe that we have allowed this to happen. And, you know, I don't know what the answers are, people. I mean, I don't know what the answers are. I'm a non-violent guy. I really don't know what the answers are. I have a feeling, though, that once a certain ball gets rolling, there's going to be no stopping it, whether it's coming from one side or the other. I mean, people are really pushed with their backs against the wall. And maybe I should get back into my prepping videos, because I honestly think that people need to be ready for some major bullshit. Anything could kick it off, like I said in my last video, the Trayvon Martin trial, you know, Zimmerman. And the government needs to get the spotlight off of them right now. Quite frankly, a good way to do that would be to have some major incident, you know, civil unrest or a false fucking alien invasion. All of the things that I'm saying, by the way, and this is for you NSA guys too, who I used to respect you guys. 5 years ago, I would have fucking ran away from anybody that talked like that. And now it turns out that all the people I laughed at and thought were nuts turned out to be, it appears they're right. This kind of shit, you know, makes you start to rethink, man. I've never been one to believe that our government had anything to do with 9/11. I just, you know, come on, man. I just couldn't bring myself to accept that. Maybe I need to revisit some of these formerly considered crazy ideas. I don't know, man. It just, to me, things are out of fucking control. And all I ask of you guys is to stay involved. You know, if you're not writing to your congressperson or your senators, you know, get a little form letter and send it to all of them, even if they're not in your state. Just demand that they adhere to the Constitution. There's no getting it back once we lose it. Whether we lose it because of violations of the Second Amendment and all these anti-gun things, if we allow any of it to fucking fall into history, all of it will fall into history. And shame on us. Shame on us. And, you know, in the future, there are going to be, if we don't straighten this out, there's going to be generations, future generations that are going to look back on us as the ones that allowed the country to fall to shit and turn into a, you know, into like a European kind of a state, or worse. Give me your thoughts, guys, and you know, I'll try and cheer up, but fuck, man, come on. Take care.